Hello and welcome to 360 Sports. My name is Martia Umar. This is where we talk about everything sports. We go 360 to bring you up to speed in the world of sports. And I'm being joined by my trusted partner, like you called yesterday.
Yes. Yeah, welcome to 360 Sports. I am Ibrahim Yusuf, and just like he said, we bring you sports and everything in between. 360 view of everything, and make sure that you are right there in the thick of the action.
Yes, we'll start with the National Sports Festival. Of course, there's been a lot of controversy rocking the start to the National Sports Festival. When I say controversy, I mean sports that are to partake or to be included in the National Sports Festival, and those ones the committee are trying to take out. One of them is the traditional sports, and one of the founding fathers of traditional sports in Nigeria, Malam Elias Yusuf, is saying that traditional sports should be compulsory in the National Sports Festival. So the traditional sport enthusiasts' clarion call is coming at the heels of the raging controversy of the decision of the Federal Ministry of Youth and Sports Development to remove traditional sports from the National Sports Festival. Do you think that's something we should be thinking about at this point, the traditional sports being involved in the National Sports Festival?
Not at this point, really not at this point. I mean, like, we started a drive to promote traditional sports. I think there's a traditional sports tournament that was actually held recently, and lots of interest was garnered when it comes to that. I mean, like, these are things that, these are traditional things that we always used to do before the advent of mainstream sports and the rest of them. So I don't think really that we should try to do away with them. Yes, if we're going to put them maybe in an invitational capacity or something like that, you can do that. But this is a national sports festival. That means involves every state in the entire nation. So if we are not in touch with our traditional sports, I think there's going to be a problem, because if we do not safeguard them, if we do not hold on to them, if we do not harness them, then who's going to do it for us? And the National Sports Festival is one of the biggest stages when it comes to sports in the country, and I think that's where our traditional sports needs to be. Even though we do have a sports tournament specifically targeting traditional sports, I think it should be a part of the National Sports Festival as well. Just as the name implies, it is a national sports festival.
I think the first time we heard of a controversy of sports being removed and then relisted in the National Sports Festival was the Paralympics. Of course, that has been resolved. It's been relisted into the National Sports Festival. And we have this that started far back in 1998 being, removed or taken out of the National Sports Festival. The first edition, 1998, it was there. And then now the next edition will be starting next month. That's November. And we're talking about removing traditional sport. Just like you mentioned, the National Sports Festival is the only sport festival we have in the country that showcases other sports, that is not giving too much emphasis to football. And then having all of the sports that, the younger generation, let's say the Generation Z are not really used to, bringing it under one roof, in one town, introducing it, taking it to the grassroots. I think it would go a long way to save the sports that are already getting into extinction. Come on, traditional sport like the Dembe, of course, is a very good sport, which every team, every state should have a representative in the National Sports Festival. So
Yeah,
I don't see any reason why it should be removed.
Really, I think maybe the administrators have their own reasons for wanting to remove traditional sports, but really, I mean, I think the pros outweigh the cons when it comes to leaving traditional sports there. You talked about the Dambe, you have the Kokwa, the traditional wrestling, the Langa, and all these. These are sports that we grew up playing. I mean, in the neighborhood and all that. And just like you said, there's a generation of Nigerians now that might not be able to know these to know these sports, and keeping them as part and parcel of the National Sports Festival, I think it is the best way to go to actually promote these sports and keep them as traditional as they are. Well, I do hope they'll have a rethink and bring back the traditional sports.
Oh, you did say that maybe they have their own reasons why they are not including the sport. But if there's a reason that, okay, this a tournament, okay, there's a separate tournament for traditional sports, I think it should be more elaborate than we used to have them. Probably have media coverage, we have different people showcasing their talent in this sport, and then we take it international. If that's what they're thinking about, good one. But until we have someone who could explain to us, what all of this rationale is all about. I think we have to remove the primordial sentiments from all of this.
Exactly.
All right, and away from the NSF, of course, the torch of peace is actually going around. It was in Edo State. The first time it was in with the president, and then it came to the FCT administration. Well, we talked about it yesterday, and it's still going around. So we wish all of the teams that will be heading to Asaba next month all the best. And then we talk about Aruna Quadri. When you call the name Aruna Quadri, of course, it's something that you cannot take out when we talk about tennis in Nigeria. Just like we have the Novak Djokovic, we have the Roger Federer. We also have Aruna Quadri. This time around is the table tennis, actually. So Aruna Quadri crashing out of the World Table Tennis Cup Finals. This is somebody that has won laurels for Nigeria. And his last competition, his last tournament, last year he crashed out of one of the major tournaments, and then this year he's crashing out again. What do you think is happening?
When I look at Nigerian table tennis and I hear the name Haruna Quadri, just like you said, it's a name that is closely associated to Nigerian table tennis. When you talk about Nigerian table tennis, that's the first name that you actually call. Unfortunately, I think it's quite unfortunate for us that after all these years, he is still the main man when it comes to table tennis, meaning there are no younger ones trying to come up to take up that mantle. So it is quite disappointing when you look at it. But looking at the bright side, he has been there for all this while, and he's still there, representing Nigeria, doing the best he can at this particular point in time. I think right now it's time for us to start thinking about bringing in new guys that are going to come in to take up that mantle from Aruna Quadri. I think he has run his race. He has done. He has reached where he can be able to get, and you really can't fault the trajectory that his career is taking right now, because it is expected. He's an absolutely phenomenal player. He has done amazing things for Nigeria. He has put us on the map when it comes to table tennis. Unfortunately, him crashing out at the World Table Tennis Championships is actually not really something that we're happy about. And I think it's time now for us to have a rethink and say, okay, fine, just like we talked about bringing other sports from the grassroots, table tennis is very easy. I mean, like this, we used to play table tennis on the floor.
How many table tennis tournaments have you attended?
Just like I said, it is very easy. It is something that is very easy for us to develop in the grassroots. We used to play it everywhere. You only need is a table, a couple of pieces of wood, and an egg, and that's that. And
I remember playing table tennis on the floor.
Exactly, you can play it on the floor. You generate a lot of interest, develop it from the grassroots. Let's get new guys to take over from the likes of Haruna Quadri.
Really. But I think when you talk about games like this, we need a lot of strength and a lot of agility, and not just in Nigeria. We've seen the likes of Novak Djokovic, Roger Federer being Grand Slam winners, like 23 Grand Slam, 24. Serena Williams was a name to reckon with. They've reigned for a very long time. I think that's the trend with Aruna Quadri. I'm happy that he's able to, retain that sport for a very long time. But like you said, we need to have new names come up right now. So let's join Marcus Moses. Okay, Marcus Moses, hello. Welcome to 360 Sports.
Hello, good morning. Thank you for having me again.
All right, of course it's evening. Okay, let's take a look at what we talked about right now, the National Sports Festival. How have you been, scoring these preparations? Do you think we're doing enough preparations for the National Sports Festival that's to take place in November this year?
Well, you don't abscond from a trend. If it's something we've been resorting to year in, year out, you don't, under prepare or, shy away from the usual trend. I think it's something that should be, looked at. There should be proper resource going into it. And, that it should air on maybe our main broadcast channels in Nigeria, for more people to see. And from there, you can actually get talent. You can actually, go out there and scout for talent from there. So I think the preparation, in my opinion, has been poor, and it's something they can do better with, and they should do better with.
Well, there is currently some back and forth now concerning the inclusion of traditional sports in the National Sports Festival, and some people are saying take it out, some people are saying leave it in. And so, what's your take on that? Do you think traditional sports should be part and parcel of the National Sports Festival?
Like I said, you don't abscond from trends like this. You don't neglect trends like this. So it's something that should remain, and they should make it better, even better for Nigerians to participate, to be fully invested in. I think this is the kind of thing you look towards the local government chairman in certain areas, and they should come together to actually you know form this and make it something worth doing, because I think something worth doing is worth doing well, and that is a problem here. We start, but we don't like to complete, we don't like to finish. And moving forward, I think it's something they really have to look at and develop more interesting.
Okay, so let's move on to the next sport. Of course, we cannot take away the CAF Champions League and how it works. So when you do well in the MPFL, you've been picked the best team, and the best of, two teams have been picked for the CAF Champions League and also the Confederation Cup. So there is a CAF Champions League match that will be coming up very soon on the 3rd of October. An Egyptian referee has been appointed for Rivers United and El Nasri Benghazi clash. And of course, Rivers United, we saw how, Rivers United gave their all for a team, the underdogs, I would say, the underdogs coming up to the table, and then we saw them moving from one step to the other, and then it was the top flight for them, and now they're representing Nigeria at the CAF Champions League. What do you think, this clash between the El Nasri and Benghazi?
We need to back them keenly, and make sure they have all the support they need, financially and otherwise, because the general aesthetic around Nigerian football is lost, or has been lost for a long time now. So I think it's a good clash for them. Like you rightly said, they are the underdogs. It might be a tough battle for them. It will be a tough battle for them. But we are hoping, and crossing our fingers that they can pull out a result. So I think, the board should really back them in whichever way the players need backing, you know. And I believe if they're properly backed, they'll go all out to battle.
When you look at Nigerian team's performances in the CAF Champions League recently, it has not been a lot. There's not been a lot to shout about. I think we've underachieved, we have underperformed when it comes to the CAF Champions League in recent years. What do you attribute to this?
It's it's not easy to do what you do day in, day out, so you have to give people credit for doing what they do. So I have to correct you there, because you said something about table tennis being easy. We're not talking about tennis now. It's not easy doing what you do, but at the same time, it's been an eyesore. It's been an eyesore. We've really underachieved, like you said. We've underachieved. We've underperformed. It's not been a story to write home about. So we need to do better, and that is where you call on the likes of the chairman and the boards to actually do something, because I think they impact the players' performances somehow. You know, they don't get the required incentive to actually go out and do well. Most of the clubs from other countries, like the likes of Zamalek and the lot, I think they've always had the backing that they've needed, and that is why on this stage, on this CAF stage, they perform year in, year out. Even the likes of Kaiser Chiefs, Mamelodi Sundowns, they're not really great teams in African football, but because of the financial backing, because of these incentives, they go out to perform on this CAF stage, and that is what we've lacked. So I think there needs to be a resurgence, a growing resurgence on moving forward and not looking back. Because rightly you pointed out something. You said we take one good step forward and five back, and that has been the theme with us. So if that can change, then I feel like our performances in this particular tournament will and should change.
Okay, thank you very much, Moses. And of course, we are looking forward to this clash between Al Nasri and the Rivers United. We wish them all the best. But let's talk about one man that has been making a lot of people talk a lot. Yes, I'm talking about Conte. Conte is facing a ban again. Okay, so after a long time, I'm saying again, I'm looking at past antecedents. You know, coaches have been facing a lot of ban. The first time we talked about it was Jurgen Klopp. Not a ban, but a sanction. But this is actually a ban. Conte faces wide-ranging ban during Spurs' crucial UEFA Champions League game. Of course, there are UEFA rules and regulations when it comes to play. There are things you shouldn't do in a pitch or around the pitch. So, what do you think about this? The ban for Conte, you know, facing this ban after that misconduct from this very great man in football.
There isn't much to say with the word misconduct thrown in there because Conte is somewhat of a passionate manager, but sometimes a little too passionate. So, knowing that and if he has breached any of the rules, any of their laws, I think he should dance to the music. Their laws are put in place to guide us. So if you step above these laws wrongly, so you should be put in place and he should face the sanction.
All right, so you made mention of something very, very important. You mentioned about Conte's passion, because that's the first thing that actually comes to mind when you talk about Antonio Conte and you look at his antics on the sidelines. He is quite a passionate manager. But talking about management generally now, we had Jurgen Klopp get into some trouble as well because of an overzealousness. So where do you draw the line between being passionate and crossing over to the side of wrongdoing? I mean, are the margins that fine?
If there's one person that defines crossing the line, I think it's him. But he does it so subtly. He does it in a way where you're trying to wrap your head or your finger around it. What is he trying to say? What is he trying to do? He is one of the kings of mind games when it comes to coaches. And sometimes there are certain managers, I believe, that have gone a little too far with conduct on the pitch during games and their comments after games. I think the issue with Klopp was it came from the game against City, and you could see his reaction after the foul on Salah, and it was a little too much. But with Klopp, it's always a little too much. You need to show your players that yes, I am passionate and I will fight for this team. I will lead us from the front. But at times you need to show that you can handle things and you can bring a certain level of calmness that they need, to focus in game. Because sometimes for the players, seeing your manager get red carded, get fined, it creates a certain level of confusion sometimes. So I draw the line at constantly going at the referees, constantly finding other ways to you know put your antics out there. So there needs to be a certain level of calmness with Klopp, and I hope they find that common ground because they've not been doing well this season, and I think it's just frustration, you know, growing for him.
Okay, so we understand that you talked about frustration between the players and, of course, the coach who's facing the ban. According to Article 69 of the UEFA rules, of course, if a red card is being shown to you, of course, you don't get to miss your next match. That's not the only sanctions. But you don't get to have any contact with the players during the play, and you have to sit away from them, not having any decision making during the play. Do you think this would affect Tottenham in their next match?
I think the players are professionals. They are top professionals, so they would have talked about this before the game. They definitely would have. They would have a game plan going into their next and their most crucial game. But that being said, sometimes the psychological effect comes in. So their manager not being there to spur them on from the touchline might be a factor, but who knows? I'm hoping it's not a factor so they can qualify. But Conte being as passionate as he is, his presence on the touchline is rather important, rather significant. So him not being there might tell. But we will need to see. We'll hope to see otherwise.
will be having a Spanish La Liga game tonight, and of course, we will be seeing actions. Just a match between two teams, and we'll have to see who comes out victorious at the end of the match. So, thank you so much, Moses, for being a part of 360 Sports. It's good to have you join us once again.
A pleasure. Thank you very much.
So, and this brings us to the end of 360 Sports at this hour. Remember to join us another time. For more updates, you can follow us across all our social media platforms. My name is Martia Umar.
All right, thanks for staying with us on 360 Sports on Trust TV. Let's do it all again. I am Ibrahim Yusuf.